As far as this potion goes, where did you get it from? A witch in a forest. That's reassuring. Even so, she knew a lot. She was able to figure out that I wasn't from that universe, or at least something along those lines. You sure that won't come back to bite us? Great. Bottoms up, I guess. Cavern? He's not dead, right? I'm pretty sure that I'd be gone if that was the case. I should at least make sure he's lying on something comfortable. Let's hope you wake up soon. This house has hundreds of rooms, but that doesn't mean no one will walk in here at some point. Chaos. What the... Thank you. My full power has been unleashed. I finally am free. I don't have to deal with you, computer, or him anymore. Everything you're doing no longer concerns me. Fix your own problems and leave me out of it. Must have passed out. What happened? Something concerning. Shrek specials. I'm really running out of Shrek stuff to talk about, so bear with me here. From television holiday specials like Shrek the Halls and Scared Shrekless, to home release exclusive short films such as Shrek 4D and Far Far Away Idol, the franchise has been pretty all over the place when looking away from the movies. Shrek video games fall in line with this as well. When you have a franchise as popular as Shrek, there are bound to be a ton of games for it that aren't based on the main movies. I already covered the racing game, but there's so much more. You've got 2 party games, a virtual life game, a puzzle game, 2 fighting games. Honestly, I'm surprised a rhythm game was never done. At some point, these have to be explored, and today is that day. This game is also the first PlayStation Shrek game ever, and by the time you finish watching this video, you'll be wondering how it's not the only PlayStation Shrek game. Today, I'll be looking at Shrek Treasure Hunt because I need a short game to give out to you guys. I'm working on like 7 games at a time right now. Shrek wants to have a picnic with Fiona, but the items for said picnic are mysteriously missing, even though the back of the game case pretty much says that the 3 blind mice lost them, but we'll ignore that. So Shrek's got to search for and collect the items for their picnic.
Like that's ever gonna happen.
Yeah, this is such a simple story of just beginning and end, but even so, I literally couldn't get to the end. One of the places I needed to go to just wouldn't load for me, meaning I flat out cannot beat it. So some of this footage is from YouTube videos, which will probably result in stuff looking a little bit different. And some of you might be questioning the morality of doing that, but I'm gonna be frank, the fact that I played the game for over an hour without saving because I thought I could beat the game in one session only to run into an area that essentially wiped my progress, on top of the fact that the person I got this footage from even had a problem with one of the places not unlocking, is more interesting than the story itself. So cut me some slack. I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. This game looks like... Just about everything in this game looks ugly. There's a bunch of square shadows and minigames that don't make sense. Shrek straight up appearing in front of some environmental pieces like cliffs and trees. Even the texturing I have a problem with. I normally never bring that kind of thing up, but here some textures very clearly repeat, and the use of repeated textures is fine, but you need to make it smooth and also not obvious that you altered a single texture for almost every polygon on this rock. I'm also assuming that the large amount of fog around is supposed to save on resources, as that is a thing that some games do, but it feels incredibly suffocating as it doesn't even feel like there's a sky in the overworld. The only real competitor for having this much fog is Silent Hill. At the very least you can tell what everything is, and there are some art assets that are pretty decent, but overall this game looks like a mess. Including the win-lose screens. Do you know those memes about bowling alley screens whenever you get a strike or something like that, and how they always look weird? Yeah, this is essentially that. It's the very first thing I thought of when seeing these. As far as voice acting, I don't even know who does the quarter of a page of exposition at the beginning of the game since it's not listed in the credits anywhere, but it's the only spoken anything in the entire game, so there's not really much to touch on there either. The music is the best part of this entire game, and there's no contest to that. But even then, some tracks are really nice, but then others are really wacky, and that's not a word I feel fits Shrek very well. Also, the transition between songs is abysmal. Some songs cut off at random points to suddenly start playing another song with no real blend. Not to mention, there's just moments in gameplay where a song will stop and you're stuck with silence for however long. It's sloppy, plain and simple. As Shrek, you run and jump around different areas of the swamp to collect a variety of objects. While in these sections, you can collect 2 power-ups which enhance you for 10 seconds. The shield protects you from enemies around you, while the spring lets you jump higher than normal. Once you collect whatever amount of objects needed for that area of the swamp, you will unlock the minigame associated with that place. Of the 10 minigames, there are 3 platforming ones where you have to make it to the end of the level before the time runs out, one where you have to throw tomatoes at 10 knights, another having you replicate the actions on screen to catch the 3 blind mice, 4 more including the collection of flies, fish, rats, and worms, and finally Tug of War where your inputs will make Shrek push the casket towards the dwarves. Wait, that's not how Tug of War works. Like, that's literally the exact opposite of how Tug of War works. Regardless, you have a map that you can access showing every location as well as how many objects you have collected out of how many you need to collect. You can do most stuff in the game in any order. This gives you a lot of freedom to how you want to navigate the swamp. The only area that is pretty much mandatory to do last is the waterfall, since for that section you need keys, but some of said keys can only be obtained from other locations after beating the minigames for those areas. Debatably, you might as well just do the first area at the beginning anyways, especially since it's the easiest area in the game, but that's besides the point. You have the option to not do that yet if you don't want to. What, are you expecting more? Are you really surprised that that's how much good I have to say about the game? Platforming is terrible. Whenever you're in the environment, if you go into a wall, you bump off of it, which is really dumb, particularly for when you're in tight spaces, as you'll just bounce off the same objects repeatedly. Also, thank goodness this game has analog options, because controlling Shrek with the D-pad is horrible for the roaming parts of the game. For one, it's significantly easier to mess up movement when Shrek slides on the ground, with Melee Luigi being the only person better than him at it, on top of the already aggravating collision bumping. So much as jumping on a platform that's right in front of me is a struggle at times. Regardless of which way you're controlling him anyways, the camera is pointed downwards 80% of the time, which you can't adjust independently of moving Shrek himself. The camera being so unconventional means that you can't see nearby enemies, making it easier to run into them accidentally. Not that that really matters since you can't die or anything. In fact, this game has 2 difficulties and both of them are almost the same. On easy, getting hit doesn't really do anything, where on hard, you drop 1 item, and that's not even true all of the time. This then makes the shield completely pointless on easy mode since getting hit pretty much does nothing. And it almost doesn't benefit you on hard either because some of the locations for the shields are strangely far away from enemies to begin with, giving them no use in the 10 seconds you have invincibility. The only other time where the difficulty matters is during minigames, as time limits are shorter on hard mode. But A, not all minigames even have time limits, and B, most minigames are pathetically easy to the point where the shorter time isn't even a factor, since they don't get any harder as you go through them. The only exception to this are the platforming minigames, and isn't it swell that we've already talked about why the platforming sucks? And how the problems for both the overworld and the minigames aren't even the same? In fact, it's actually better to use the D-pad for the minigames, but sliding off of ledges is still easy. Engaging when to jump is more of a time consumer, and may I remind you, you're on a time limit. And by the way, the time that's counted between at least these two minigames aren't even consistent. For this one, every number is 5 seconds, while for this one, every number is 1 second. Why on earth are these different? And again, since every other minigame is ridiculously easy, it gets an overwhelming sense of difficulty whiplash, as it's only these parts that can absolutely destroy you. There's not really a fail condition to the game as a whole, aside from not beating it. You can't die in the overworld, and losing in the minigames is really only a matter of retrying. But considering that this game is, and I'm putting this very politely, a game I wouldn't give my worst enemy, that's not really a loss. And yes, I know this section is short, but there's so much nothing to this game. What else can I say? You guys have seen the video up to this point, so I don't even really need to say anything further, but this section exists for a reason, so I've gotta say something. This is the first game on the channel that I straight up didn't beat. Yes, it was because of technical reasons that I legitimately don't understand, but at the same time, if a game is this bad and even it doesn't want me to beat it, I'm not beating it. It's one of the worst games I've reviewed. Ever. I can't really say if it is the worst because there are some strong contenders for that. But as far as Shrek games go, this takes the cake. There's another me running around, and apparently it seems that he has some special ability. There's no way that after everything I went through, he got some powers and I didn't. Well, he also kinda stopped me from being able to move. Like my body just up and shut down. I couldn't really feel anything. So maybe I can do the same thing? Nothing, of course. Wait, try it on yourself. Do you hear something right now? No. That's odd. It sounds like there's a bunch of people running around. This is that Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, right? I'm glad you remember it. Guess that explains all the noise. Yes, the noise that I can't hear. Wait. Thinking about it, I think that your powers got awakened too. Why? This could be that stand thing you brought up, or the Nexus power from when you died. I think both of you have the ability to enhance and remove people's senses. However, for him, he's able to do it to other people, but you can only do it to yourself. And again, thinking about it, he removed my ability to actually be able to feel anything. And for you, I think you just enhanced your hearing because I can't hear whatever you heard. Huh. Well, that's an interesting power, I guess. What's going on, my fellow residents? It's me, TheFrozenCavern, and thank you guys for making it to the end of this video. Last year I didn't get around to actually doing a Shrek video, so I figured I'd start off this year with a Shrek video. And also it's a really short one, so I can just get it out because I'm having to record a bunch of games at the same time right now. That way when I go back to college for the next semester, I won't actually have to worry about recording the games. I can just write up the scripts for everything and then edit the videos and then I can have them out. And yeah, it was really dumb that I wasn't able to beat this game because an area just straight up wouldn't load for me. But those are sometimes things we just have to deal with. And honestly, there's not much else that I can really say aside from that, so if you have not already, make sure you go down to the description below because that's where all of my social medias are located. My Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Discord are all in the description, and there are all ways for you guys to be notified of whenever I upload another video or have an update for the channel. And if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more, as well as share this video out with your friends and family. But until the next video, take care.